Hi everyone, welcome to endasEnglishNotes.com, where today we're going to look at Act 2, Scene 2 from Romeo and Juliet. This is a very important scene, is often called the balcony scene, so it'll be a little bit longer. We're going to give you a couple of quotes to learn off, just a basic summary so you understand what's happening in the play. So, in Capulet's orchard, "What soft, what light through yonder window breaks, it is the east and Juliet is the sun." So, he's walking through the orchard and he sees a light through a window, okay? And he's looking up and he says it is Juliet, but he doesn't say it just as Juliet is the east. Juliet is the sun. So basically Juliet is the brightest thing in the world. So he's highlighting just how much of an impact she has had. She's like the sun that brightens up the day. So we know from the previous scenes that Romeo was depressed, he was really down, and now Juliet has brightened everything up. Okay, so she is the sun. So we know a metaphor is when you say something is something else. So Juliet is the sun as a metaphor. So you might be asked in an exam about the metaphors used in Romeo and Juliet. So that's a very important one and a very simple one. Romeo, seeing Juliet on the balcony in the distance, tells the audience how beautiful Juliet is through clever imagery and metaphorical language. He says that if the two brightest stars in the sky had to go away, they could ask for Juliet's eyes to shine in their absence. So again, you could actually say that there's hyperbole at play here. So he is exaggerating to such an extent, but it's to show and to illustrate for the audience just how beautiful he thinks Juliet is, that she has the two brightest eyes the world has ever seen. They're brighter than the two brightest stars in the sky. He sees that Juliet is leaning on her cheek, and he tells us that he wishes that he were a glove so that he could touch that cheek. "Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek." So he wants to be the glove so that he can touch her cheek. So he's showing how much he wants to be near her, how much he wants to touch her. So Juliet's on the balcony and she begins to speak. Now, she's unaware of Romeo's presence. So Romeo is able to hear her, but she doesn't know that he's speaking. So in many ways, she is actually given a soliloquy here because she's telling the audience how she feels and basically what's going on in her mind, but she's unaware that Romeo is there. Juliet, thinking that she is alone, speaks to the audience and calls out, "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" Basically, why are you a Romeo? "Deny thy father and refuse thy name." She says, I want you to deny your father, basically the father's name, and refuse thy name. So don't be a Montague. She's saying, don't be a Montague. Or, if thou wilt not, I'll no longer be a Capulet. She's basically really annoyed, or she's really down about the fact that they've got names that are so opposed. And she's telling Romeo, she's asking, why are you Romeo? Why are you Romeo? Why are you a Montague? She tells him to deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or if she won't, that she won't be a Capulet. And she's going to go on and talk about basically how unimportant names actually are. Romeo doesn't know whether to speak or not, because at this point Romeo would happily give away everything to be with her. But he doesn't know whether he should speak or not at this point. Juliet continues by asking, what is a name anyway? What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Now, this is a really important line because, and it is actually really insightful. So, a rose smells good. If we called a rose a different name, if we came up with a different name for it, if we called it silage, okay, which smells bad, the rose would still smell the same. So names are arbitrary. They don't mean anything. It's what's underneath or it's the characteristics that are important. So she's saying if Romeo was no longer a Montague, he would still look the same. He would still talk the same. Okay, so that which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So she tells him that he can have her if he refuses his name, yet she is unaware that he can hear her. Okay, so it's really important that you get that the rose analogy there. So he's basically saying she would love Romeo if he would just give up his name. And it doesn't matter what he's called. We could call him anything. It's how he looks and how he acted that she's in love with. Shouting from below the balcony, he tells her, henceforth I never will be Romeo. So Romeo also understands that his name is not important. Now, it's not that he'll never be a Romeo. He basically is saying, I won't be a Montague from this moment forward. Okay, so you can imagine the shock of Juliet. She's up on their balcony, and down below there's Romeo shouting up, and he has heard everything she has said. So she's in shock. Juliet tells Romeo that if he is found in the Capulet orchard, he will be killed. He doesn't care and responds, "Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity." Okay, so he's basically, he doesn't care about the danger. He basically says, "I'm because of how good you look and being with you will keep me safe from any enemies." Okay, so here you see his impetuous nature again. He doesn't care about danger. He doesn't care about anything except love. So he's a really emotional person. He's someone who really goes with his heart. He doesn't think with his head. He thinks with his heart. Juliet asks Romeo if he loves her, but is worried that she is too quickly won. So she's worried now that, and again it shows you that girls were not supposed to be won so quickly. That men had to, basically, their suitors would have had to try and woo them. And they would never give in so easily. So now she's worried that she was too quickly won. Romeo swears by the moon that he loves Juliet, but she says that the moon is too inconstant. She then worries that everything is happening too fast. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden. So Juliet has a bit more thought behind her actions. She said it is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden. Now, the moon one there is interesting as well. So Romeo swears by the moon, and she said, "Don't swear by the moon, because the moon goes away. I want your love to be constant, not something that comes and goes each night." In a series of metaphors explaining his devotion to Juliet, the couple are interrupted by the nurse. But when she reappears, she tells Romeo that if his thoughts are of marriage, that he needs to send word tomorrow about the arrangements for the marriage. So this is hours after the party. They're now arranging a marriage. Okay, so that again highlights the culture and the customs and the values of the time that they're living in. That with the first night that they have met, they're arranging to get married. Okay, and basically Juliet's saying, if you're serious, we need to get married. Okay, the key points from Act 2, Scene 2. Juliet's questioning of the importance of a name and Romeo's willingness to give up his Montague name. And I've just in there, it shows the power of love. So the family name means nothing when it is up against, or when it is in opposition with love. So basically love wins. Love wins through all of this. Romeo and Juliet both declare their undying love for one another and arrange to get married as soon as possible, with Juliet to send a messenger to Romeo by 9 the following morning. We must remember that Juliet had no intention of marrying earlier in the evening, because she told her mother that it was something she had not dreamed of. Okay, she had no notion of getting married, but now she does. And Romeo was in love with Rosaline at that point. It shows the rash decision-making of both characters. But what Shakespeare is actually more highlighting is the fact that love, what love can do to people, that they can act in such a rash manner without thinking of consequences. And maybe it's a message about the dangers of behaving like this. Neither want to say goodbye to each other. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Okay, so that's Act 2, Scene 2. It's a very quick summary of the balcony scene. It's quite a long scene, so if you read through it and go through your notes, this is just to aid it. Okay, so if you like the video, please hit like and subscribe. Also go to english notes.com, where you'll get loads of great resources. Thank you.